This is Laserlight Presents All About the Gig. All right, we're back. Another episode of Laserlight Presents All About the Gig. So today, we again have our favorites. We've got Dave Sorelli. Dave, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
All right. Devin Kruger.
Doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, very good, very good. And our new favorite, Ben Hinkle.
What's going on, man?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Cool. All right. I wanted to tap into some topics today that I don't think we've covered yet, but I thought would be interesting. I wanted to start with, especially in today's climate, the social media outlet for streaming, how to get paid when streaming. You know, if people want to virtually buy a ticket to your show, and social media vids in general. If you want to put clips up on your Facebook page, your Twitter, your Instagram, even your own .com. So let's circle into first the social media vids. So when you're on a gig and someone is videotape, someone's recording. I doubt they'll be videotaping, but someone's recording your performance. Maybe it's somebody that's in the crowd that is electing to do it. Maybe it's somebody that you've staged to do it for you. What is a smart amount of time for ease of use of a video clip, Devin? If you're going to put it on Facebook or the social media part.
Yeah, I mean, I found for the most part, videos between like 30 seconds to like 5 or 6 minutes tend to be the most I'm going to get out of people.
Oh, really? 5 to 6 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, 30 seconds to that time.
Sure.
Yeah. Like sometimes I put on longer ones and, a handful of people will watch it, but normally it's a lot of the short hits. And I don't know if you're getting at things other people have shot or am I recording these? So, because I knew both. I couldn't tell.
And that's kind of what I was tapping into. Maybe somebody's like, man, I got that. I got that last song. You guys were amazing. How can I can send it to you? Or what do you ask? Do you ask for the whole thing? Do you ask for, because I've often experienced, that there's ease of use.
I mean, I don't know about you, Dave, but I don't normally ask for it because normally if people are posting stuff, I'm just hoping I can find it later.
Oh,
like especially, especially if I want some content to start pushing. It also looks better if it's coming from the audience. So it looks like a bunch of people are videoing you because you're so amazing instead of me just taking the phone and kind of selfieing it.
Yeah.
So I love getting kind of that free publicity of people are coming to the show and they like it so much they're doing recordings of it, and if I'm lucky and they remember my name well enough, I can look my name up on Facebook later that night and I might be able to find the video if they even remotely mentioned me or the band or the location. And if I can find it, if I can find it, oftentimes then I can repost it and just find a way of kind of helping that project whatever project that is.
Yeah, spread it around.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, same thing?
Basically, more or less the same as Devin. If I can find an audience member that enjoyed the performance enough to post it, I've gotten a lot of good publicity that way. I'll take it, share it around, or maybe I'll take a few stills out of it and use those as like promotional photos or something like that. If I'm posting my own video, like just my own creation, unless it's like a full work, like if it's meant to be like a full song where it's a live performance sort of thing, I try and keep it between 30 seconds and a minute and 30 seconds. So if I'm doing like just a playthrough of something, I'm doing, hey, here's a little bit of my practice session. Here's a little bit of this or that. Those videos tend to not work if you are posting like really long versions of that. You want to kind of keep it succinct and to the point, so people can kind of dive into it, see what you're doing, and then move away from that. And, the next time they know that it's not a huge time commitment to see your video.
Yeah, and to Devin's feedback, from the 30 seconds to 5 or 6 minutes, that's kind of what I was driving at. The ease of use of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it will like this amount of time and not cause you hassles, right, for when you're uploading. But in your experience, I mean, you can upload something up to 5 minutes.
Oh, I've uploaded
Easily?
stuff over an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I uploaded like our entire live stream at one point,
Yeah.
towards the beginning. So I don't have an issue uploading it. It takes a while.
Okay.
Um,
But
yeah.
it's not a battle.
No, it's not
Yeah,
battle. It's
it's-
just sitting and
it's more
seeing
of-
that's
yeah.
going to take 6 hours to upload.
And doing that's more archival than anything. You're kind of archiving it on Facebook. So if somebody really enjoys your stuff, they'll be like, hey, a whole concert. Sweet.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll pick apart 5 minutes of it. Even though you have an hour to deal with. I do that kind of stuff all the time. I'm watching, even this morning, I was watching a clip from Chick Corea. And, it was like a 45-minute concert thing that it linked me to the YouTube. And I watched like 10 minutes and I was like, I got to get ready for my day now and put it away.
Yeah.
And then I make a mental note like, hey, maybe I'll go check that out. Next morning, I'm having some coffee and watch another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff can be useful. But if you're trying to just capture the average like Facebook consumer, like just Mr. Scroll Master 5000, yeah, it's got to be a little bit shorter.
What about the Facebook live streaming?
Mhm.
Right? How often do you utilize that?
Well, if we're talking like pre-pandemic, I used to use Facebook live stream as like a cheap way to post something online. And it was a really easy way to say, I'm already playing with a band I like tonight. All I got to do is set my phone up to the side and record us for 5 minutes during a song I know that will kill. And there's my post for the day. Or there's my post for tomorrow because I've already made posts today. So as great as it was to have a content occasionally that I was genuinely like, taking, editing and thinking out, there was also just a lot of that. I was told like 2 to 3 times a week minimum posting. So little things like being able to live stream in the middle of a set and just get a song or two and know that I have content for the next 2 days. Okay, that takes that off my plate. Now I don't have to worry about getting something out before my gig tomorrow or before lessons tomorrow. So it was an ease of use and just pumping out content that I knew people could scroll by and be like, he's still playing. And then they might scroll. They might not even listen to it, but just them seeing that, he's active. That's all I wanted them to know. That's all I wanted them to know.
Sure.
So it's like, that's fine. They don't even have to watch.
Yeah, at a bare minimum.
Yeah.
And Ben, your band, Another Life, you guys have taken advantage of that before. I've seen some Facebook,
Yeah,
right?
That's usually from whoever's in the crowd. We've even done a couple times where, Dre or Kyle, whoever will say, all right, like the first thing, it kind of caught me off guard. Like we didn't even talk about it, but Kyle goes, all right, for this show, we want everybody to just keep your phones away. No pictures or recording or anything. Might be because we suck. No, I'm kidding.
No.
But
God, no.
they just, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Cool.
Wow.
That's cool. Try to
Interesting.
keep it old school, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe it's a warm-up thing, too.
Yeah,
You
it was
guys
it was
need
the
to
whole
find
show.
a-
I mean, no one did it too. It was kind of cool. Like no one had their phones out and stuff.
Interesting.
We don't really post on Facebook or anything, anyways. So.
Yeah. Now, does your band have a Facebook page?
We might.
I thought you used to. I mean, I thought
We-
you did. Maybe it
It's
might
very
be
possible.
privatized now. I'm not
Very
sure.
very no, I don't. Yeah, I'm sure it's not private, but I couldn't even tell you because I don't have social media. So
Sure.
that's why I was like, I kind of sitting out this because I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't have.
But it's good. It's good to understand.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
when that time comes and those topics, are breached, then
Yeah, and they had good points.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. And how about streaming for pay? How does that work? How would you even go about that, Dave?
Are you talking about like Spotify, or are you talking like trying to monetize a live stream?
That's what. Yeah, monetize
Okay.
a live stream.
So I am not as well versed in that as some of my colleagues, to be honest with you. But from what I understand, the way that this works is you set it up as a paywall, right? So you might be able to access like a snippet of the live stream. They might give you like the first 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then they expect that you'll buy a quote unquote ticket to watch the rest of the performance.
Right.
Some might not even do that. My closest understanding with this came from earlier September of this year. I was playing a musical that was actually outdoors over at Ottawa Park, yeah. And the way that they were doing the musical is they had a very limited in-person audience, even though it was outside. They, maintaining social distance. But the way that they were able to really make good money off of it and get it to the general public is they were also live streaming it from a very, very usable platform that could, take it to Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. And it was, great picture quality, great sound quality. And you would pre-purchase a ticket the same way you would go to a concert anywhere of your favorite venues. You would purchase a ticket and you could then watch it from your favorite streaming service. And it was the same way, like you get a code, or maybe you get some sort of like online QR code or something like that, and that gives you access to the live stream. So that's how people have been making money from the live streaming thing, as far as I understand. The other way is just traditionally just asking for tips. If you're doing a free live stream, just putting in your lower third of like, hey, this is our Venmo, this is our PayPal. It's tough right now. If you guys are enjoying the performance, drop a couple bucks. We really appreciate it. We're not expecting it. But those are the two different ways. There's direct monetization,
Yeah.
and there's indirect monetization. So,
Okay.
And
Now,
those,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and things are very different now than they were, say, a year ago with those kind of things. Even now, I would say most people who want to make money from doing stuff online, you have a little ways to go, because there's people who've been doing it for years before they ever made a real dime on it.
Yeah.
And those guys are already kind of the heavyweights of that whole market. And it took them forever to even really make good money. But even going with the method like Dave was saying, because there was enough sympathy around the fact that the performing arts couldn't perform, I know people who, had, 2,500 people watch their live stream, which is, that's a lot if you're doing a live stream in Toledo normally and you're just a bar band.
Yeah.
Having 25 people tune into your live stream is a lot. But, if you're an act that normally had like 750,000 people watch your videos every week, that would be nothing. But the funny thing is the band, local band, actually was all pulling decent money, almost gig money for a live stream like that, just because the donations were so much greater than you would have expected from a year ago. Because the difference is the audience knows that's the only bread that these guys are making. Yeah. So they're participating more, and the people who could were giving more than they would have before. So it's hard to say from that perspective what things will look like going on. I don't know if it's going to change that whole dynamic. If the online shows might become more profitable as time goes on for people, now that people have kind of normalized it. It's certainly a different market, though.
Yeah. How does that work? You mentioned PayPal or ways to leave a tip or pay for a ticket. So I'm just curious, how does that work? Is it a link, or you mentioned a code? So I'm looking at how to send a tip.
So there's different gradations to that. The easiest way possible is, while you're doing your free live stream on Facebook Live or whatever you choose to do that, just overlay in the lower third corner of your screen your PayPal name or your Venmo name or Zelle or whatever you use, Cash App, sure.
Make it a one-click thing. They click on that link with their mobile device, and if they have the app already, it's opened. Like if they clicked on my PayPal link, they were taken to PayPal immediately, and we're just like, how much do you want to send him? So it was a real easy.
Very cool.
Now, the other gradation to this is people that actually make a career out of streaming, such as Twitch streamers. What they do is they actually have a certain system in place where you can subscribe to them. And there's different subscription amounts, and it varies widely from amount to amount. But I think one of the cheapest ones you can do is you can give them like $1 or $2, maybe $5 a month. And what you're doing is you're just kind of subscribing to say, hey, I really enjoy your videos. I spend a lot of time watching them. I'm going to support you directly by doing this. And that's all done behind the scenes. I think that's actually done through Twitch itself. So that's like the next gradation up.
It's like a sponsorship.
Yep, honestly, yeah, in its own way, it really is.
And there's a lot of different levels to that. Twitch has their own, YouTube has their own, and then there's like the third-party ones like Patreon, which was one of the ones that people heard about in the beginning. They're still going strong.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
but
cool.
I mean, honestly, all joking aside, that is what OnlyFans is.
Yeah.
It's basically that model adapted for a more adult purpose. And I know that's not what OnlyFans is entirely, but that is a lot of it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
selling your music. How do you guys go about that? Dave?
That has changed a lot in even the
Right.
last 4 years.
Right.
So 4 years ago, it was about 50-50, I would say. There was still enough download sales, physical sales. We were getting away from physical for sure. But there was still enough people straight up downloading music that was still a viable route. In 2020, it's streaming only. It's almost useless. I know so many bands that they don't even choose to make CDs anymore. They don't make anything physical because it's useless. You know, how many new cars even come with a CD drive anymore?
Right,
Almost
right.
none of them, you know? And
One of my two don't,
yeah, exactly. And, you know,
which I was upset about.
Yeah.
I forgot to
And
ask when I
so
bought
many-
it.
Yeah. so many more cars are getting rid of their, 1/8-inch aux ports, and it's becoming all entirely Bluetooth and streaming based. So now, basically, the only way to make your music usable to the general public is to put it on a streaming service, whether that be whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be a little bit more DIY, such as like a Bandcamp or something like that, but even that's going to alienate a certain populace. Most people go through a third-party aggregation site that then streams all their stuff to Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Deezer, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. The apps that people are actually using. And in certain ways, this has been the easiest ever to get your music to the entire world. It is. It truly
Sure.
is.
Well, how could it not? Right.
But with the Catch-22, everybody can do it. So there's so much music all competing for your attention. And the issue is, there's a gradation to the pay scales of Spotify, right? So if you are an individual artist that maybe has a couple thousand streams, maybe doesn't even have 1,000 streams, every stream that you make on Spotify is paying you a fraction of a cent. It's not even a full cent for a stream. It's a fraction of that. So even if you did somehow manage to rack up 1,000 streams, that's not even any sort of real money. You can't even buy a small meal with that. That's nothing.
Right.
It's honestly nothing. But think about that 20 years ago. If somebody took the time to play your stuff 1,000 times, whether it be through CD, through downloads, through whatever, that was actually equivalent to a lot more money. So the
Yeah.
industry has changed a lot, and we're still trying to navigate that.
Yeah. Devin, what's been your experience?
I mean, my big thing has been that to me, if I wanted to put out a CD tomorrow, one, I wouldn't put out a CD. I'd probably put out an LP. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's merchandise sales. I'm not actually.
I was just going to say, what does put out mean?
Yeah.
You have got to put it to where?
Because
Right?
to me, it's the whole industry right now, and it might change in a handful of years, but right now it's moving towards you have to play, you have to tour, you have to take your show on the road. Playing is where the money's actually at, which I know right now with everything going on, that's a hard thing to say, but I think the general trajectory is that live playing, or maybe even virtual playing, but playing for a crowd is actually the way you're making money again. And if that's the case, the only thing I care about the LP is that, hey, next to the t-shirts and mugs, we also have LPs for a bunch of the people who care about that. And I don't even know if they'll take it out of the wrapper and put it on a player. They might not even have one. They'll just put it on the wall.
Sure.
But it's merchandise at this point. You know, it's a $20, $25 piece of vinyl that I'm making $12 or $13 profit on. And if they want to buy that and a t-shirt, now they have another item to buy. But I don't actually think about making music sales. To me, the album being listened to on Spotify is advertisement. That's just more people that
Performance sales. is
that's
where
more
it's
people
at.
who
Yeah.
know about me. And if I look at the analytics and say, wow, 1,000 people downloaded it from Dayton, I should set up a show in Dayton. Like,
Yeah.
I bet I could fill a club with 400 or 500 people
There
if
you
1,000 people are streaming it there.
Mhm.
So it ends up becoming
And-
just another data center to be like, where could I go?
Yeah.
And just
Analytics, measuring the analytics.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, we just recently here at Layside, we had a band come through that was speaking to the fact that they're soon to release a new album. Now, my question is, release a new album. So when you were speaking to it, Dave, and you said download from a streaming platform, but you are speaking to the fact that I'm going to download a digital copy that that I can retain and put into my digital library.
No.
You're
not-
talking about one time. I thought I was picking up on that.
No.
You're
You
talking
used
about
to. You used to be able to do that. As of this podcast today, whenever this airs, they have shut down the iTunes store. It's gone.
Well, also,
serious?
as of the
Yes.
past month, they got rid of Google Music, which was one of the last services where I could buy a song and
Yes.
download the WAV
Mhm.
file
oh my
and
God.
actually export it, because I had to
Right.
get a song to my mother-in-law, and I was trying to rack my brain with how to get it to her. And at first, I tried the illegal thing. I tried to do like YouTube to MP3. All the websites I used to use are all broken now.
Yeah.
They don't
Man.
work. And then I was like, forget it. F it. I'll buy it. Like
Yeah.
I'll spend $1.20. I don't care. And the only place I could do it still was Google Music at the time, and they've already folded that in the past month,
Mhm.
and it's wrapped up into YouTube Red now. So it's 100% streaming. Like, I can download things from Spotify onto my phone, but that's just so I can play them without cellular data. Those
moment.
files are nowhere on my phone. I can't find them. I don't know where they are, and they're not standard music files. It's
Yeah.
a proprietary file. Only Spotify uses
Yeah.
it. There's no way to take that and move it around and put it on an iPod or do anything like that.
Yeah. The
I
days.
didn't know that, Ben. Did you know that? Isn't that
Absolutely not. It's
wild?
crazy.
Yeah, the days of physical
how do you-
ownership, it's gone. It's truly gone. I mean,
So-
think about it. You have Netflix, and we've accepted Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have all these
Mhm.
movies, but you don't own any of them. You pay for the subscription towards it. Same thing with Spotify. That's all that is anymore. You don't own any of that.
Okay, so it's not that I'm paying to hear it once. I'm paying to hear it as many times as I can
Yeah,
listen
you can
to it
listen.
Uh-huh.
You can listen
within
to it
a
on repeat for
period
the rest
of
of your life.
time,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
So that's
That's
what we-
multiple views, multiple listens for the whatever I've paid for 30 days, whatever.
Well, the
Ah,
irony
man.
is if someone could get the ratio better towards the artists and not just the companies, because actually the larger, like, you think of your ASCAPs and BMIs and other right holders who they own the rights to a lot of music, those guys are actually making a lot of money off Spotify and such. It's mostly the artists who aren't getting a big chunk of it, because I don't have a problem with the streaming method idea. The idea that just because you're a one-hit wonder and your song sold 1,000 hits right off the beginning, but no one cares about you later on, I'm like, well, take your paycheck and leave. But what about for people who write an album that it becomes timeless and people listen to it for 40 years? Well, I'd be more up in favor for them losing, one, the copyrights on their chords and stuff like that within a 20-year mode, so that way more people could build off the material. But we can talk about copyright another day.
Yeah,
That's a whole
Um,
thing.
But what
We
I
gotta
will say,
stretch out these episodes.
yeah. But we can talk about copyright another day. But on the other hand, though, if your
Yeah.
piece is a timeless piece that's listened to that long, I'm like, if people are listening to it 1,000,000 times a year, you should get revenue 1,000,000 times a year because you wrote a piece of music that is lasting. So the idea that people get paid based on how often people are listening to it,
Yeah.
I'm down for that as a model. The idea that if you write something that deserves to continue being listened to, you can make money off of it. It's just that such a small percentage is actually going to the creators right now.
A great segue topic, and maybe not for today, but we can circle back to it, would be so then how, if you get your music on the radio,
Mhm.
there must still be residuals for every time they play your song.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
that's
there
where
is.
you the ASCAP and BMI and things like that.
Yeah, like you
So,
mentioned. Okay.
Those people are paying their dues to be able to play licensed material from the big publishers. They're paying for that every year. And then there's a whole team of people, and I'm sure a lot of it's done by robots by now, who's listening to all of the sources that pay those fees.
Yeah.
And they're recording how many times is it Mariah Carey's Everything I Want for Christmas Is You. They're like, it's
Yeah.
being played again. Start ticking them. She's going to get a
yeah.
check.
Well, for sure. Yeah. Ben, is your band Another Life? Have you guys gone down these kind of discussions with, okay, we have so many originals, and once we get a collective of 8 to 12 or whatever the quantity is, what do we want to do about distribution or getting them out there?
Never.
Well, come on.
No, I mean, like, we're not that big right now, so we're just playing music and doing shows. Whoever will take us in, we like to do our
Yeah.
shows and invite all our friends and family, and we have never gotten anything past that point right now.
Yeah. Well, it'll come,
Yeah, hopefully. Absolutely.
And knowledge is everything.
Absolutely.
So this is stuff you'll be able to apply as it comes.
Yeah,
the topics are
correct.
great. So that's really, really cool. But again, I want to also, these are great, great informative viewpoints, guys.
Yeah.
And I wanted to maybe change gears here briefly to talk about something that crossed my mind today. Stage communication
Mhm.
during a performance.
A lot of head nods.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that would be an interesting one because I think we've all experienced trying to convey something, whether it be for immediate attention or even just a conveyance of, wow, we're in the pocket on this. You know? Tell me a little bit about that theory of never stop playing. A microphone falls off the stand. You break a string. Drummer puts his, kick pedal through his drum head, right? What are some of those experiences that you've had? Let's first talk about recovery or never stop playing.
Oh yeah, never give in.
Yeah.
If you think you can make it so the audience won't even notice there was a mistake, you keep plowing ahead. I've broken strings and I'm just like, I just shout into a microphone like, Johnny, take a solo. And that's like that's our sax player for the day or whatever. And I'll shout that and like, hopefully no one notices. And I'm just reaching back for a high E string. And then I'm singing the last verses or something. And I might tell someone else to take another solo because normally my hope is I can bang out something at the end of this song or I can start the next song. So that way nothing happens. And, I've had power go out plenty of times. Screw Christmas lights and everyone who ties Christmas lights to the band's outlet.
There you go, Ben. There's a footnote when you're doing your walkthrough.
Bane of my existence.
Where are all the lights? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Old Christmas lights that pull a ton of amperage. Keep them away from your circuit if you're playing a band.
Sure.
But anyways, I've had those go out, and we were lucky enough to have a kill-in horn player and a drummer on a couple occasions who just kept the party going. Literally, the lights are off and people are still dancing to just a drummer and a saxophone player vibing. And
what about picking
keeping
up?
it alive?
Do you bring spares or not? I mean, what do you have like an extra, another guitar?
The
stage?
proper thing is to bring another guitar.
And
That's
just
actually
quickly unplug, plug.
part of the reason I bought the Les Paul was to have another guitar that I could easily bring to gigs.
Yeah.
Because I've known since I was like 16 years old that the proper thing to do is to bring another guitar. And I've been ignoring that rule for like the past 8 years out of laziness.
Yeah. And Dave,
yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same.
Never stop playing.
Oh yeah, man, we've had some weird ones. There's been times where people have wandered their way onto stage after too much inebriation, and all of a sudden here comes the bouncer, but you can't stop. And you keep playing. We've had people knock stuff over. We've had people, literally step on our gear. But you can't turn into that asshole band. You can't do that. All of a sudden, if you exude anger or you're upset with the situation, the crowd will immediately pick up on that, and then you're gonna ruin that mood. So you just gotta roll with it. You gotta roll with it.
Yeah. And
we've had plenty of weird stuff happen, and you just keep going.
And to add with Dave, I'm sure you guys have run into the same situation with your guys' main group. One of the hardest things to do is actually just to change a set list on the fly when you refuse to have dead space. So there's been plenty of times that like I'm in a party group or like doing a wedding and our rule is no dead space. The end of beat 4 is beat 1 for the next song kind of thing. Like it has to move on. But we're noticing that like we need to change the set list now. As in they've made a bunch of requests because they don't like what we're doing or we just don't think the crowd's getting it, whatever reason. And I'm quickly singing and going through our song list, deciding what the next 3 or 4 songs is going to be. Yeah. And then I have to get that information out to everyone before this song is over. Yeah. So that way we can go into it. Yeah. And there's been plenty of times that the guys have learned that if I go around speaking to 2 people, that they just better follow whatever happens. And that normally means if I can only talk to 2 people, I've talked to the bass player and I've talked to the keyboard player and I play guitar. So I have all of the main harmony instruments to be like, are we in agreement? This is what we're doing. They'll figure it out. And there's been plenty of times where we've changed the set around And the drummer's just looking at me, just waiting for us to start the next song because he has no idea what I've told those three. Because I was like, I can't walk across the whole stage. I still have songs to sing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
but it's no dead space, no nothing. So
Yeah, and that's a really common thing. I mean, with my cover group, same
Oh, yeah.
thing. There'll be plenty of times where one of the guitar players will walk through and be like, "Hey, we're gonna do this song now. We're gonna do watch. It's gonna happen." You know. So yeah, just straight up talking to people is a very important communicating.
talking's hard too. That's the hardest one because actual words have to come out of my mouth and get to them. And sometimes
And
it's
stay in
really
the pocket and stay in the song.
well, just audibly for them to hear.
Yeah,
it.
yell
Oh,
at yell at
yeah.
people.
On a loud
Yeah.
stage, can
Yeah.
I even get to their ear? Like, how can they understand me reading my lips? Am I just pointing at an iPad? Like, do
Yeah.
you see that? Do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's it can be a bit of a war zone up on those stages sometimes, especially, you know, you're in hour 3, we're playing a song that was a request that maybe only half the band knows, and then we're lucky enough, our drummer's really good at communicating from behind the drum. He would, you know, just shout out solo, you know, just here you go.
Yeah.
Go back to the chorus, you know.
Sure,
Just
sure.
straight up screaming at each other on stage, but the audience doesn't know that. But
Well,
from the
yeah.
stage, it's like we are thinking entirely on the seat of our, you know,
Yeah.
pants. We're like, okay, we're not doing anything creative. We're just existing and getting through it.
Sure.
I call out a lot of sections of songs now. If I'm not playing them standard, whether it's solos or extensions or like, I just do shout outs now and I'm like, I don't know, you guys like James Brown? He yelled at his band. I'll make it look like it's part of the act, but this is actually me communicating with them.
Sure.
Like,
Sure,
this is the
sure.
only way these guys are going to hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ben? You guys probably have had, you know, some of the, you know, kicks starting it off.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden this goes out or that goes out.
Yeah,
and
something
you just
happens.
power through it, right?
You don't quit playing, yeah. Just
Yeah,
like
how
they
do you
say.
how are you guys comfortable with communicating? You do a lot of head
Yeah,
nods
like
and
they say, if
eye,
it's
you know.
too loud, yeah, you gotta really get up close to them. But yeah, a lot of the times we know, since they're all originals, you know, where do you guys want to go from here? You know, and we all
Yeah.
kind of look at each other and do like the eyebrow wiggle or the head nod, and we're
Yeah,
like, somehow we all know what we're talking about, and we go there.
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's being woven.
Yeah.
You know, woven
Yeah.
into each other. That's
Right.
awesome.
And I will also say that kind of communication, I don't mind. That's warranted. Now, the worst is when you're playing with people that you don't know, or maybe somebody's a little bit more green,
Oh boy.
and you got to run up to them and be like, here's one, here's one.
Nice.
Here's one. You flip the beat, you know, something like that. Or you're in the wrong spot. Use your ear. You got to listen. You're not, you know, that kind of stuff. And
Sure.
that's more panic inducing of like when somebody has no idea what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you're just trying to keep the ship from going down.
And I'll add to that, which is that's why changing the sets I said was one of the worst things. It's because it's one of the few times where with even skilled players, you have to use words, which is the hardest thing to often get across on stage. If you don't want the audience to hear the next 3 songs you shouted, you somehow have to convey that to everyone. Same problem with a green player is I'm having to use all this language and explain to them, and most of the time everyone else is just getting a quick nod or me turning away. At the very most, they see me put my hand up to say this is the last time around the song. Like, there's a handful of common things, but most of those are almost nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with the green player is the same problem with calling out new tunes. Is I was like, I have to talk to you, and it's a loud stage. Anytime that you're forcing me to use like words and talk to someone on stage, it's hard. It's always hard.
Of course. Yeah. Ben, have you thought about any questions you might want to ask these guys?
No, I'm just in here for the ride. I love
Yeah,
listening to
yeah.
it, man. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
That's
Well, I always
fun
want to
stuff.
ask, you know,
Yeah,
because
no,
you
no.
never know, you know,
Right.
things might come up, and
Right.
they you know, they don't even have to be topic related, you know.
no, that's
Always
that's good
consider
stuff.
it to be an open format.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we've dropped a lot of knowledge once again.
Cool.
Dave, Devin, and Ben, thanks a lot for being here today,
Thank you.
and we will be looking forward to the next one. This has been Laserlight Presents All About the Gig.